I would rather be known and hated than forgotten.
You can be an authority or a commodity, and there's like no gray area in between.
Like from my Instagram, for example, I probably have thousands of leads a year that come to us to buy stuff. And most of those transact for $20,000, $30,000 on a message.
Sales is easy when your marketing is strong.
When you don't have that, one, you sell desperately. People on the other side feel when you need them.
Best closers in the world can't overcome shitty marketing.
Maybe 50% of our deal flow comes from referrals, and it's not necessarily clients.
In just 2024, today's guest had 4,070 paid leads, 1,127 organic leads, 30,931 cold outreaches, an average show rate of 80%, an average offer rate of 67%, and a close rate of 55%. He started his journey living in his parents' basement. I've seen the pictures, making 40 to 50K a month, now to scaling his agency, Bad Marketing, to a multi-million-dollar success. He also runs 5 companies with over 300 employees. And today we're going to be talking about how to create an 8-figure marketing and sales machine. Eddie Maalouf, welcome to the Masters of Lead Generation podcast.
Thank you for having me. How did you get those stats? Did my team get you those?
Yes.
I don't even know those numbers. That's awesome.
They're sexy numbers. But FYI, that's how your company's doing. Ask me any other questions. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything else. But based on what your team has told us, your close rate is very high. So it sounds like what we're saying is half of the leads you pitch and offer are to close. And I know you have epic closers like Kyle, but the best closers in the world can't overcome shitty marketing, right? And the whole point, in my opinion, of great marketing is to make sales unnecessary. So talk to me a bit about how you think about that and how marketing and sales interact. Do you think about it as one system? And just talk to me about your high-level philosophy on marketing and sales.
Yeah, so obviously marketing and sales are one. I think too many people view them as two different channels. I think they're synergistic with each other, right? You can't have good marketing and a bad sales team and still put up the numbers you want to put, and vice versa. You can't have bad marketing and a great sales team and put up the numbers that you want to put. Now, obviously, they'll help each other, right? If one's better than the other, obviously, it'll create like a lift for the other one. That being said, back in 2020, at my agency pretty much was all sales, right? It was all outbound. It was all cold calling. It was all cold emailing. And I tried the whole, sell because I was a salesperson, right? That was my background. And so I knew I could put up numbers, and we would sign 20, 30 clients a month from doing outbound, et cetera. And we dialed that system in. But we realized if we really wanted to build a serious company, we really wanted to build something at scale, we needed a plethora of people coming to us. We couldn't just go to other people all the time. And, in certain businesses you can, right? Really high level B2B businesses, you can just depend on outbound. But there comes a point where marketing is required, right? And building brand is required. And it's something that you do really well too with your YouTube, especially, and your organic presence as a whole. And I'm sure you understand this more than anyone. But from my standpoint, I have not had a single month where I have turned off marketing since July of 2020 in my business. And you can imagine now, we're almost 5 years out from that. That's crazy. Just realized that. We're almost 5 years out from that time, right? And even then we're spending, $10,000, $20,000 a month. Maybe now we're spending $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month on our marketing. But for me, that puts us in a position to win, right? Because all these other people are seeing our marketing, and what happens is they come to us. And when a customer comes to you, as opposed to you going to them, it's just like dating at the end of the day, right? If you approach someone else to take them out on a date, they are the people of status because you're the one asking them out, versus vice versa. If they came up to you, asked you out, you would have the leverage, you would have the status in the situation, you would be the wanted person out of the two, right? And so the same goes to marketing, right? Now that we have all these leads that you're talking about, all those are leads that came to us, right? Those aren't leads that we went to them. We also have, more leads that probably aren't even counted in that formula, right? Like from my Instagram, for example, I probably have thousands of leads a year that come to us to buy stuff or to join our agency mastermind or whatever the case is. And most of those, transact for $20,000, $30,000 on a message. I don't even get on a call with them. I just go back and forth 5, 6 messages on Instagram. And that's good marketing. That I don't need a sales process. I don't need an insane qualification process. They qualify themselves through the marketing and they come, and then, you know, those are easy transactions to make. And so I think marketing is more important than sales in the long term. I think in the short term, when a business is small, when a business doesn't have funds, when they have time on their hands, I think sales is more important. You know, you can go and you can just pure grit, put numbers on the board, no matter what kind of business you have, and sell. But as the business grows, you need to be able to compensate for a deficiency in sales, right? You as the owner will close the most business, obviously, but as you start hiring more salespeople, they're not going to be as good as the owner, right? Like if I close all the deals last year, I'd probably close at 80%. But my sales team's going to close at 55, which is still great. But that's a 25% spread that I get to accommodate for. And the only way to do so is by having better marketing. If my marketing wasn't great, my sales team would probably be closing at a 20 to 25% versus 55, right? And so I'm creating a 20 to 30% close rate lift for the sales team by having good marketing, by having people coming inbound, by having people consuming our content. And it's not just an ad that goes to them, right? They see an ad, then they consume the organic content, then they're on the email list. And so there's depth to the marketing. And I, as a business owner, believe, in the long game and the short game, right? Some months we'll spend $50,000. We'll only make $50,000 back. Some months we'll spend $50,000 and we'll make $300,000 back. But those people that came probably saw our ads over the last 6 months and then finally made a decision to, work with us, right? And so when you see a really high close rate like that, it's either someone who's really investing in the marketing or people who are just organically coming through marketing and it's not paid. But in our case, it's a mix of both. And I think that's why we have that success. And I think that's why most businesses have trouble selling sometimes, is they're so dependent on these like gimmicky one-time sales tricks or hot things that are happening to just sell some clients, and then they move on to the next hot sales trick that they got going on, versus building established, predictable marketing systems to generate leads for their business, which, when you don't have that, you get kind of desperate and you sell desperately, which clients feel, right? People on the other side feel when you need them versus when, you're just having a sales process and a transaction. And number two, at the end of the day, you want these people to want you, right? And so I think it creates both of those things.
That was awesome. I've got lots of follow-up questions. The first thing just to note on is it's freaking hard to build a system that profitably acquires customers at scale. And sometimes I want to bang my head against a wall until blood is leaking out my ears because, for example, our clients in Legion, they think it's so easy, right? But marketing's hard. It's hard and it requires creativity and science and mathematic alchemy to actually figure out how to do that. And I think that like inputs, outputs, outcomes, I can see the inputs that you guys, because you're so forthcoming in the mastermind I'm in, I can see the inputs you guys put into your marketing and then the outcomes of that. But I genuinely think that most businesses are too lazy to do marketing and they don't actually understand it, right? The other great thing for you is, and I want to start talking about this, you have an investor mindset, you are an investor as well. And something that you often say is time in market versus timing market. Whereas a lot of people would look at their ads and freak the fuck out because like their CPLs aren't crushing it or whatever, right? So can you talk a bit more about that mindset and how because you're saying you run ads all the time and how you stomach that when your marketing's not going as well? Like what sort of scripts are running in your brain to deal with that?
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. If your marketing is not working, I'm not saying leave it on, right? But specifically for us, I'm in an industry where people are in contracts with other marketing agencies, right? And so sometimes it's not the right time. So like on a month like March, example, right? It might just be bad timing in the market where everyone is stuck in a contract with an agency and they're not even going to shop another agency till May. Right. And so just because of the timing of their current contracts that they have, I have no ability to even open up a conversation to sell them, right, on being a new customer. Whereas maybe in another type of local business, let's say, a car sales business, right? They're running marketing to people who are actually looking for cars. They're actively looking for cars. Their marketing should always be working. They should always have good leads coming in. They need leads now. They're not trying to play the long-term game. Whereas for me, I'm playing both. I'm playing, hey, how many are we transacting with right now? What's our cost per lead? What's our cost per sale, et cetera? But also, how many unique impressions do we have with unique people on our ads, knowing that I'm targeting the right people on my advertising, and knowing, let's say, at least 50% of the people seeing my ads are people who are potential clients in the future. That to me carries a lot of weight, because at the end of the day in my industry, if someone, is in a contract right now and they're stuck and they can't work with, they can't even shop agencies till April and then work with them till May, I want to be the first one that's top of mind. I want them to be like, okay, I'm going to look for someone else. Who should I go to? I don't want to be the person in that conversation of who should I go to, and then they're searching to find. I want them to be like, who should I go to? Oh, I see those bad marketing people everywhere. Let me go to them, right? And then also let me ask some friends for recommendations too. But what happens is, because I'm always on that list, because I'm always top of mind, I always have a chance at, signing that client, gaining that trust, whatever the case is, right? And when they see me everywhere, they obviously make the assumption that we're doing well, right? And same for every other business, right? When you see the business everywhere, you feel like, oh, wow, those guys must be doing something really special or really awesome. If I see their stuff everywhere, like, they must be doing a good job. And especially as a marketing company, right? People are going to judge me on my marketing, right? Because they're hiring me to do their marketing. And at the end of the day, that's how I'm looking at it. For me, timing is not monthly, it's annually, right? And so for example, usually in my industry, at the end of Q4, people decide to shop new agencies. They decide in January, hey, let's shop someone else. Maybe our Q4 didn't go as well. We don't want to miss next year. Let's sign another agency, right? And every single year up to this point, January has been one of our biggest months of acquisition, because we know that. And so we plan to spend less in December and more in January. We did that this year, and actually January was like one of our worst acquisition months for January we've ever seen. And it turns out it's, we thought it was our marketing, but we were targeting the right people. We were running the right offers. We were doing everything that we're supposed to do. We trusted the process. And here in March, we're only a weekend at the time of filming this. And we've sold, almost 80 grand, 90 grand worth of retainers monthly in March, right? But that's carry over from people in January, people in February, and it all kind of spills over. So we are still tracking our cost per lead and all these important metrics on a weekly basis. But when I'm looking at like how much revenue are we generating from our advertising, I have to look at it on a quarterly, on an annual basis. And the more I refine it down, the tougher it's going to be. Now, if I'm a local business, again, who am going direct to consumer, not business to business, where there's contracts involved and things like that, I would expect your marketing to be working on a daily and weekly basis, as opposed to measuring it on a quarterly basis. You can't afford to do that, right?
One way that we try and teach our clients is that in lead generation, there's planting seeds for later and harvesting for now, right? Most businesses are so obsessed with trying to scoop up in-market leads, which is where the most of the competition is, that they forget that there's this levels of awareness or buyer's journey that people go through, whether you hold their hand or not. And so everybody's down in here in the in-market leads trying to compete and trying to get people who are ready right this second. But it's so first order thinking, instead of having this like long-term game, as you're saying, this quarterly, annually. You're going to be in business in 5 years' time. How do you start to plant those seeds now so that you're always having something to harvest, not just the things right now? I'm interested to know, what feedback loops do you install in your company or companies to get sales and marketing working together and make sure that that is as optimal as possible?
Yeah. So, I mean, marketing and sales are one, right? Marketing cannot operate without sales in my business, right? Because no one can transact without talking to a sales team. And sales cannot operate without marketing generating them the leads. And so for me, they have, daily feedback between each other. Every day they review what the last 24 hours look like, how many leads did we get, how many are green, red, yellow, based on our qualification process. What are we paying for green leads? What are we paying for leads as a whole? And they're evaluating what kind of clientele are coming through. And then every Wednesday, so once a week, we actually have like an hour-long meeting together between marketing and sales. We're brainstorming what the last week looked like, what the last trailing month looked like, what the active pipelines are, how many deals we have out, or how many people we have potential that are really good candidates for us to work with. And then basically from there, we're refining on a weekly basis. Do we need to change something in the marketing? Is the targeting feel off over the last week? All these little discrepancies here we're measuring on a weekly basis, but on a daily basis, sales team is talking to marketing. they're making whatever tweaks they can. If they find opportunities, they're taking them together. Whether it's, you know, a new update that came out that, you know, TikTok's getting canceled, for example, they'll try to take advantage of that and try to move people from TikTok to Amazon to Meta, et cetera, right? And so it's important to have market awareness as well of what's happening inside of your marketplace for your product in your world, and being able to find those opportunities when they happen, right? Sometimes some of these opportunities come once every 4 or 5 years. And so being able to find something like that where you can just pinch a pain point on someone and generate a ton of leads is important. But back to your point on harvesting, you know, at the end of the day, if you're planting the seeds for future, you know, I would expect that you're at least trying to turn them from controlled media like Meta, YouTube, you know, all these other platforms, and turn them into owned media like an email list, for example, right? And so once you can turn them into an email list of owned media, now these people are responding to you privately, right? You don't need to depend on these platforms. And so because we have a list example of 30,000 people, then I can be in a position where TikTok rolls out an update that's really awesome for everyone. I can send out an email blast to all the people that, you know, I've sowed the seed with. And then from there, they can, you know, jump on something because there's a massive opportunity on TikTok that month for whatever it is. And that's what it takes for them to pull the trigger. And so I'm always doing both, like you said, but it's very important for everyone listening to actively change from controlled media to owned media, meaning building an email list, etc. Because the only regret I have is, like, I wish I did that, you know, starting in 2019, 2020 versus just doing that the last couple years and starting to take that seriously. I think that was probably the biggest missed opportunity in our business from all the marketing we've done.
And what is working for you at the moment to get people off those paid platforms or earned platforms onto your own platforms? Are you running 5 reasons why your e-commerce doesn't work lead magnets, or like, what is working?
Yeah, so honestly, we're testing new stuff like every week. So again, when things are hot, I press on that button, right? Like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I know is hot. So we will create an email and SMS guide for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We'll run ads to that. Everyone will go crazy. They want to learn what the best strategies for Black Friday, Cyber Monday are for email marketing, and then they'll get in. That also tells me that they're, you know, either e-com store or an agency, right, who's interested in some sort of email marketing strategy as a whole. That's why they're opting in the first place. And so lead magnets as a whole, you know, are the best thing. For anyone listening who doesn't know what that is, basically, I'm giving someone some sort of value. In exchange, they're giving me their contact information, right? And so basically, on the e-com side, we're doing it situationally. So right now, the hottest thing, for example, is guides for TikTok and Amazon and scaling those platforms. And we've seen those do really well for us. On the client side, I mean, it's even easier than us, right? For us, e-commerce, it's hard as an agency. We're targeting such a small pocket of people in the world that are doing at least $5 million a year or more in their e-commerce store, right? Or in their info products. It's just such a small market. But when you look at it from a different market, if I'm like a tax advisor who's trying to sell people on taxes, right? Like all year long, there's so many opportunities for lead magnets, whether I'm giving them free access to a video training that I did on how to save money on taxes, or whether it's me giving them a PDF of the top 10 strategies to save money on taxes this year, et cetera. There's so many things that you can do. And most of these strategies are evergreen, right? If you can make one that hits really hard, you can post it on all your YouTube videos, you can run it on all your ads, you can have it on your website. And so you can give people many opportunities to be able to opt in and exchange that information. But if you're just going to be the type of business, which, you know, we kind of do too at this point, just because of our brand, that doesn't give anything in exchange, and you say, hey, you know, apply here to work with us, and that's kind of the only way to opt in, you're obviously going to miss out on a lot of opportunities as a whole, because people are not exchanging information for value. They're exchanging information to get sold, which means they're further along in the customer journey. And you're going to miss out on all those people beforehand that maybe don't know who you are and won't get that far in the customer journey just because they have not been given enough value by you. And so finding ways to give value for free in some sort of tangible exchange of email and phone number and contact information, I think is really what all these businesses should be focused on long term.
That's a big takeaway from me. True wisdom is learning from others' mistakes, getting my shit together on building my email list, because we're good at everything else, and it's like, fuck, having to sit down and make these lead magnets. But now that we're finally out of client fulfillment, it's like we can start to take our marketing to the next level, and there's not as many excuses to be shit at it.
And you get a lot of views, and you're already releasing a lot of content. If you just turn it into written, a lot of people will read the written format and won't watch the video format.
Yeah, that's smart. And even with this podcast, what I want to do is like either like key takeaways or action items or show notes or some way to like get people on an email list. I think just to add to your point, once you have someone on the email list, don't use and abuse them, right? Like it's like bring them in and then treat them well in your home. The other thing is, this was on another episode. His name's Kennedy, and he's like a freaking killer at email, because a lot of people are worried about, like, oh, you send me too many emails, I hate your emails. And he's like, well, they just came into your house. Like, they opted into your email list. And if they like sit down in your house and start complaining, like, that's a problem with them. But you need to make sure that you provide them value and don't lure them in and then just start trying to sell them. Have you made any decisions where you've put brand above conversions, maybe for like a long-term play where you're like, no, that's just so totally off brand? Or are you very focused on getting sales and making things happen? And I just say that because I've worked in some big companies, and as they get bigger, brand becomes more and more important, and they start to like pull towards making sure that they're holding true to the brand. And over a long time, it can become detrimental. So I just want to know how you balance that branding in your marketing as well.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, here's the thing. They're both important, right? But I've always been a proponent of brand. Even like when we did our first agency founders event, I mean, we made, I don't know, $20,000. Like for 6 months of work and planning and selling tickets and all this stuff, like $20,000 is such a loss. Like I'm not even counting for employee costs of time and things like that I'm paying on payroll. And so, but I look at that and I say, but we're building brand, right? We had hundreds of agency owners in the room. We're building a community of agency owners long-term. This is like really strong brand for us. And so we make a lot of decisions on brand, even on our advertising, right? Like I said, some months we maybe lose money on advertising in regards to conversions that come from it. But it's in sacrifice for brand, right? I go to all these events and I speak at all these events. And sometimes, like last week I spoke at an event, and I know that the people in that room are not my ideal clients necessarily, but they're business owners who are well off, etc. And I was okay to build that relationship with that person and who's running the event, as well as, build brand on stage, right? Bad marketing. Now all those people in the room, I guarantee, will remember bad marketing. And in the future, because all these people are also in business for a long time, they're going to have many opportunities, even if it's not in the current business that they have, whether it's referring their friend, whether it's them starting a different business in the future. There's always going to be an opportunity with these people to do business together in some way, shape, or form. And even if it's not just them, it's the referrals. I'll tell you, like maybe 50% of our deal flow comes from referrals, and it's not necessarily clients. Sometimes it's just people who watch our stuff, who love our brand, who just want to send other people to our brand when they have marketing concerns or need marketing help or services and things like that, right? And so I think from the beginning, business should be conscious of brand. But obviously, if you have no money, no revenue coming in, obviously everything has to be conversion based. But as you start being able to pile up some money in the bank account, as you're able to start generating some money on a monthly basis, brand becomes much more powerful than conversions. And so we do a lot of things that don't generate us conversions. Like I just threw a really big party in Las Vegas on the back of ClickFunnels event. I knew like all our info product clients would be in that room. And so I decided to throw a black tie event with a casino. It cost more than $200,000. Luckily, I had sponsors sponsor, and it helped a lot with the cost. But I had 1,200 people in the room at my party for bad marketing that were, all qualified prospects or qualified referrals for future. I didn't pitch anything. I didn't sell anything. I didn't go and hammer out the entire email list and try to sell them on stuff at the end of the day. But I guarantee you 1,200 people left that room thinking bad marketing is the shit. And that's a marketing company that they would want to work with or refer their friends to, because they saw the level and quality of party that we're able to throw. And that automatically associates the quality of our work. And if they say, oh man, if a marketing company can throw a party like this, then I bet their marketing is probably pretty damn good too if I work with them, right? And so naturally, leads started coming in from that party, and people started referring people from that party, and then now we're doing business with many people from that party as well. But not once did I pitch, not once did I sell. And I guarantee that sentiment will carry on for years to come, right? And I can't even calculate what that ROI is over time. Now, if I'm just trying to sell my business today and not try to build a long-term business, it's a different situation. But I would assume most people that are in business are trying to grow their business. They're trying to go a little bit more long-term. Even if they're trying to sell, it's in the future. And so building brand really carries a lot of weight. It makes the sales process easier. It makes the marketing work better. And it just makes people want to work with you more often.
And you have a brand by default, right? It's like, it's not like this thing that one day you make a decision and you're like, oh, I might go and start building my brand. It's like you either focus on it and you do a good job, or like it just exists and the market kind of gets to decide what the perception is. So I think there's levels to the game, right? And how Eddie does brand and fucking sick parties now is not what Eddie would have been spending his money on 3-5 years ago. And I think it's easy to forget.
3-5 years ago.
Eddie got no money 3 to 5 years ago. And I think sometimes people can forget that. Like, you know, and I have to be careful even in your mastermind when I see all of you guys doing like really high 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures. And it's like, oh, I'm doing this. And I'm like, stop. There's levels to the game, and it doesn't make sense for me to spend $200,000 on a party, after party for ClickFunnels right now. So at what point in your business, or what triggers, or how did you know in your business it was the right time to start spending money and like really focusing on brand building, knowing that you're not going to see an immediate ROI, nor can you probably ever truly track the impact on your business. But you as a smart investor, you just know it will come back to you in time.
Yeah, great question. So I think, you know, off the top of my head, I would say I would be focused on that only after the foundation of my business is set. I'm making X amount of gross profit per month. Each business is different, right? I'm able to know that I can generate, an extra 100K a month of profit. So if I spend something, I'll be able to regenerate it, which is super important. And also having, you know, enough money in the bank to be able to kind of hold up that, right? Like same for talent, right? Like 4 years ago, I couldn't go and just hire someone for $200,000. Like it's impossible. That was probably like the business's profit as a whole, right? It's crazy. So, but as you grow and as you find better opportunities to do so, and as you have more money in the bank that provides you that safety to do so, you can make way more aggressive moves, like hiring better talent, like throwing big parties, etc. And so obviously the foundation has to be there. I think you have to have 6 to 12 months of cash reserves on hand to feel confident in some of those decisions. But also more importantly is just monthly net cash flow that's regenerating in the business. I think that's really the big key. Like even with my cars, right? Like I buy nice cars that are worth $300,000-$400,000. I wouldn't do that if I didn't calculate in my head how many months would it take if I lost all my money to then make enough money to pay for the car again in a way, right? And then so like I only do it based on cash flow. I could have millions of dollars in the bank, but I always look at, and maybe it's just, you know, for a sense of safety, I always look at how many months of work do I take in order to recover that loss or that spend or whatever it is. And as you get bigger, it becomes smaller, right? $200,000 becomes a week or 2 weeks instead of a year. And so as you grow and you feel in a more comfortable position to make those aggressive moves, you do so, but just under the assumption that, hey, we're not going to recover all this money right now. And so we need to be in a financial position where money is recovering on its own. And also we have money in the bank to feel confident that if this goes south completely, which it will happen here and there, then I'm able to at least go in there and have money in the bank to be able to still run the business confidently and not make poor decisions.
And you said something important earlier. You called marketing an investment. And I work a lot in like finance and property investment and like those sorts of spaces, insurance, whatever. And it's like marketing is a cost in the P&L, and it's such the wrong way to think about it. And I think about my team as investments, right? But as part, and I pour everything into them. We pay for coaching, like we coach them every week, all the time. It's hardcore. But you can make bad investments. And I think that's kind of what I'm hearing what you're saying. It's like, just make sure that you have the cash reserves that if you're going to take big swings on big investments in your marketing, if that big swing doesn't pay off, you'll be okay. And if it does pay off, you'll be really very happy.
Of course, yeah. If you take too big of a swing and you're not prepared to lose it, then, I mean, in anything, right? In any investment, if you invest in crypto and you invest too much money into something that goes south and you're in a bad position now personally, financially for it, which, you know, I've been in that spot. Then you play from a point of scarcity. Your entire life and your business perspective changes because now you're playing defensive and you're not playing offensive. And so I think you need to be in a position where you can feel confident enough to play offensive, knowing that a few of your at bats are going to miss and you're going to strike out. But it should be a point where, if you make 6 out of 10 work, because they're big swings, they should compensate much more for the 4 losses. And so definitely put yourself in a point of safety. Otherwise, I've been in the position where we feel really safe. We make too big of a swing. All of a sudden, we're in a tight financial spot. Now we're playing scared, right? And so in business, once you play scared, that's when your business starts shrinking. But if you play confident, you have reserves in the bank, you're making money, you can start playing more confident. You can hire bigger talent. You can make bigger swings. You can do all these things across the board. And I think that's really what it's about.
And so bad marketing stands for bold and disruptive. So it's in the name. You guys are bold and disruptive. And I know you've done things like you were talking about this at the mastermind where you pretended that bad marketing was, what was the thing before bad marketing? What was your agency name? For media, yeah, not as cool as bad marketing. Forget about it.
Nowhere near.
Anyway, it's like closing down and shit, and people are like, what's going on? I know on April Fool's, you guys also did we've realized due to all this feedback that bad marketing was a bad name. We're going to change our name, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're not afraid of being outrageous, polarizing, and doing and trying crazy ideas. Do you have any other cool examples like that you've done for yourself, for clients, or that you've seen to help to stimulate some thinking for people just to get examples of how marketing should be done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any specific examples off the top of my head. Here's the thing. When you work with clients, they have their brand guidelines, they have all these things. And so they're a lot more scared than you are, right? Whereas for me, for bad marketing, I can do whatever I want. I mean, I literally have an ad of me and a black guy at a urinal, and I'm complimenting his CAC and how big it is. But really, it's cost of customer acquisition cost, CAC, right? And it's this whole play on words because he's the black guy and I'm at the urinal and I'm like, wow, your CAC is so big. And he's like, yeah, I hate it. I'm like, I know, mine's so small, right? And so we play all these fun games. But I look at it as in marketing, no matter what you do, you could be the nicest, best company online. You will get people to hate you for whatever reason. It's how the world works, right? And so I look at my TAM, my total addressable market, and I say, okay, for example, I have 300,000 people that could potentially work with me. I can either be bland, be vanilla, be lame, and literally be in the noise of everyone else and just be another option on the table, and have 300,000 people not hate me but not love me, and therefore there's not really strong sentiment towards me. Or I'm super polarizing and 150,000 people hate my guts. They never want to talk to me. They never want to work with me. I don't align with them. But 150,000 people love me, will die for me, will refer, whatever. And that is the game that I want to play. I'm not sitting here and I don't need to be loved by everyone. I mean, look at President Trump. A lot of people hate him, but more people love him enough to become the president and to be able to support decisions that he's making. And now he's in that position for that reason, right? And he's very polarizing. And, I'm not saying market like Trump, but I am saying at the end of the day, if he was bland, if he was vanilla, if he didn't draw half the crowd to love him, and they're just he's good enough, then he probably wouldn't be sitting in the presidential seat right now, right? But because he was willing to be out of the box and go against the grain and do things that maybe other people wouldn't do, even getting on podcasts for 4 hours when presidential candidates are usually on these short sprints of interviews so that they don't make any mistakes and look bad, etc. He went against the grain. He stood outside the box and he won by a landslide for that reason, right? And that's what you need in life. I don't need everyone to love me. And no one, I tried for 2-3 years being super nice, not polarizing, and people still hated on me. They still talk shit on me on Instagram. They still, decided to trash us as a company, even though they never worked with us. That stuff always happens. So I was like, you know what? I might as well go so outside the box and bold and disruptive that at least if they hate us, they still can't forget us. And so I would rather be known and hated than forgotten, to be honest. Because for every person that hates me, I know there's another person that loves me equally as much as this person hates me. And from a business standpoint, that's really what you want, right? If I have 300,000 people who just they're not going to refer people. They're not going to put me at the top of their list when they want to work. I'm just going to be another option, right? But if I'm the bold and disruptive person, I'm the person who's delivered them the funniest concepts. They've laughed at my ads. I've kept their curiosity enough, then they're going to put me at the top of their list, and I'm going to be one of the top options to work with.
Yeah. And as you said, like, you don't want people to feel meh about you. Just love or hate. That's totally fine. Even for me, when I'm not getting like hate mail or hate comments, I'm worried I'm not being polarizing enough, right? It's like, I'm like, fuck, I'm being a weak little bitch in my messaging this month. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not enough.
I know exactly what you mean.
Because it's like, no one's feeling an emotion. I've just got all of these people being, wow, Alicia, this is really good. I'm like, where are the haters? Like, I get the best trolls. I get people who will go to our, like, application page to work with us, and I've had someone going like, you are so annoying, and they took the time out of their day to go in and like fill in this application to get that message across. And I was like, yes, you're feeding the beast. You don't understand how happy I am to see this. Anyway, but I think so many businesses are scared to do that. Well, what will they think? Who cares? Like, who do you want to attract more of, and how do you stand up from the noise? And how do you evoke an emotion? And I think the other thing you're really good at, which I'd like a pep talk on next, because your pep talk just then was on standing out. The next pep talk is on value. I think that you just give an insane amount of value, and you're a very genuine person. Like, how you are right now and how you present in your talks, etc., is exactly how you are in a private conversation. You're very intelligent and you're very well spoken, but you're very forthcoming with your value. And a lot of companies or business owners are very, very scared about being upfront or giving it away, right? And I know, like, I can think of like my sales journey with you. I met you at TNC. I don't know if you remember, I emceed your stage when I had a keynote. I was emceeing different days and I introed you onto the stage. And that's when I first came across you and Ashton, so like a year ago. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, a couple of agency bros, nice to meet you. But I had a really good chat with Ashton. Like, I loved meeting you guys, and Michael Jordan. And yeah, man, that was me. I was the Aussie chick who MC. Yeah, I got you the Tim Tams. That was me.
The Tim Tam, the Tim Tam plans.
Yeah, for you and the kids.
That. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that was me, and then I started like following your journey. And then I started watching your stuff on YouTube, and it was some of your agency founder talks. I'm now in that mastermind. And I was like, holy fuck. I was like, the amount of value that I got from watching that stuff, I was like, I need to pay this man money. And then I made Matt watch it because he's even more skeptical of other agency owners. And I was like, no, trust me, Eddie's amazing. Like, I've been listening to Eddie every day. Like, I'm in Italy traveling, listening to you while I'm walking the streets. And Matt listens and he's like, yeah, get him on a call. Like, we need to be in that mastermind. And I literally DM'd you on Instagram, and I was like, yo, how do I get in your fucking mastermind? You got on a call with us. The value you gave us in that sales call, it wasn't even a sales call. I was like, yeah, the money for the mastermind just paid for itself. And I just knew being in your orbit would make us better, and it has. That was my long story about how awesome you are about giving value up front. And I'd love for you to talk about that, because I don't think many agency owners or business owners are so forthcoming in that value.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for the Tim Tam slam, by the way. I actually never did it, and I have it still in my cabinet, right at the front of my cabinet. Nice. And I like I'll bring you more of like a sentimental gift for me than like a thing that I want to consume, because it was very sweet of you, and it had a purpose, and that's why I won't forget it. So pretty cool to connect the dots there. I didn't realize that was you. But yeah, from my standpoint, like, I'll tell you, every business I've been in, the thing is, like, customer trust customer trust goes down as the internet gets bigger. Customer skepticism goes up as the internet gets bigger. There's more opportunities for scams and losing your money to someone who you don't trust, or paying someone who talks like they know but they don't know, right? And a prime example, I mean, the president of Argentina just released a crypto coin and rug pulled $100 million from people, right? Like, that's the level of, as the internet grows, scams are more, open, and they happen more often. And so trust is going to go lower and lower and lower over time, right? We used to live in an era where Someone could just throw in a television commercial for 15 seconds and everyone's like, I want that thing. Now you throw up a television commercial for 15 seconds and they're like, let me look into that thing. And then they're looking at 10 other things that are the same thing that they're looking at. And then they're trying to decide which one's better. And then if they can't decide, then they'll just purchase on price. And I never want to be the person fighting on price, right? And so in order to do so, I need to give so much value up front, naturally, that people consume that value and that value makes them money. And because the free stuff made them money, how much money would the pay stuff make them? And that allows them to come to my ecosystem. I feel like most business owners are scared to give value. And the reason is they actually don't have a strong product. And they're worried that if they give too much value, then there is no need for them. And if you're in a business where if you give so much value that there's no need for you, then either you're not good enough at your business or you don't have a good business, right? At the end of the day. And so I look at it as like gaining customer sentiment over time, building brand, gaining trust. It's only going to get stronger and stronger over time. And the cool part with like organic content and stuff is it lives forever, right? So like someone might go today and watch a YouTube video and then binge another 30 hours of my YouTube content, just like they do with you. And then that work that I put in 3-4 years ago is still paying off to this day, which is awesome. But that being said, another really strong benefit is like, you know, as a business owner, depending on what qualifications you have of who you want to work with, a lot of people are disqualified. They can't work with you, right? They're either too early in their business journey or whatever the case is, especially as an agency owner, right? But if I give all this free value, over time, these people will take this free value, they will level up in their business to the point that they can now afford to pay me. And so what I'm actually doing in twofold is like, one, I'm getting new attention. I'm providing value for people that are qualified. They're looking at it. They're saying, you know what? I actually trust Eddie. I listen to what he says. It makes sense. I implemented some stuff that he talked about. It made me money. Now, maybe if he just looks at my stuff as opposed to just giving me free content that he doesn't even know I exist, then maybe he'll make me more money. And then, you know, purchasing power is strong there. Two, I have people on my social media. It's so cool. The other day, someone messaged me, hey, I just hit 100K a month. Just want to let you know, like, it was all because of your content, your events, etc. that I've attended. You know, this is like the biggest milestone ever for me. And I scrolled back, and 2 years ago, this person was making $1,000 a month. And now they're making 100K a month. Like, they couldn't even fathom making that a year 2 years ago, and now they're doing that monthly. And it's literally from one event, agency founders that they attended, and then free content that I have on my social media and actually implementing it. And now this person, 2 years later, is going to join our mastermind because now their agency is doing 100K a month or more, and they're qualified to do so. And I didn't even think of that at the time, right? But here I am 2 years later from all that, and it's coming back. And I'll tell you, last thing, which might be irrelevant. I mean, the fulfillment that I get from people coming up to me and telling me that the content that I created changed their life is insane. Like, I have goosebumps even thinking about it. Like, one time I was in an event and I walked out. There's like 6,000 people in this event. It was a dark room. Like, I don't even know how this person saw me. I walked out of the event. He chased me out the door. He came up to me. He literally was like in tears. Hey man, like, just want to tell you, like, you don't know who I am, but like, I've been watching your content for the last year. You allowed me to quit my job. I make more money now. My wife doesn't have to work. My daughter finally can go to private school. Like, just tell me all these things that changed their life. This person's never even paid me $1. And honestly, like, I told my wife, because, you know, this was like such a, like, I mean, the way that they were emotional about it, I just felt like I really changed this person's life. I told my wife, I was like, that's way more satisfying than someone sending me $100,000 to my bank account. Like, I'm at the point where, like, I'm numb to that. Like, sure, it's money, it's great, you can do stuff with it, whatever, but like, that is empowering. And so that's like a side effect, right? At the end of the day, if none of us could make any money, realistically, we probably wouldn't be posting on social media. We probably wouldn't be doing all these things, to be honest, right? And so, like, that's a byproduct of it. And honestly, the byproduct is more valuable for me emotionally, but obviously building trust and putting stuff out there, you know, helps people go along their customer journey and then select you as the option. And this is in every industry. It's not just agencies, right? Like, I mean, you could be the guy who sells dumpsters to construction companies, but if you're providing value on what kind of dumpsters you should be buying, how to save money on dumpsters, like how you should be, you know, doing things when you're demolishing to save on dumpster space, or anything around construction in general, now they're going to come to you for your dumpsters because you're the person who's provided the most value about it. So, like, even in the most extreme case, that's where people are going to lean to. When options are all equal to an extent, they're going to go for the person who's given them the most value, and they're going to be willing to pay more money to that person as well.
And it comes down to basically you can be an authority or a commodity. And there's like no gray area in between. And giving this value positions you as an authority, which gives you pricing power. It makes it easier to close. And that's kind of full circle on this discussion today is sales is easy when your marketing is strong. And so I know you want to go and hang out with your kids. You've been busy at conferences. So I will end the interrogation there. I've cancelled the waterboarders. You did an excellent job sharing your wisdom as always. Where can people find you after this episode?
Instagram, YouTube, it's just Eddie Maalouf. I manage my Instagram, so if anyone wants to message me, have a conversation, help you with anything on Instagram, totally down, just message back and forth. YouTube is probably where my most valuable content is just because it's long form. It's not, me shaking my butt on TikTok for you guys. But both of those are fine. But I just want to say, Alicia, seriously, I'm not just saying this. If anyone made it this far and you're even considering working with Alicia at all, like it's a no-brainer. I have 140 people who are agencies in my mastermind. All of them do at least $100,000 a month. Some of them do $1 million a month. And Alicia is one of the smartest people I've ever met in this space. The amount of detail that she has, like thinking about the clients that she has and the work that you're doing, like everything you do, like I've learned so much from you as well in this process of working together and being a part of the group. And I have so much more respect for you than I even tell you. And to even be doing that as a female as well in a space where it's like male dominant is so impressive for me. And like, if you heard the good things that I talked about you behind your back, like you would be so ecstatic. I'm just not really the best emotional guy to tell people stuff to their face. But if you are listening to this and you're even considering working with her or her team, it's a no-brainer. Hire them. They will make your business better than what it is today for sure. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on here.